These are some items relating to a US sailor at Utah Beach on D-Day. This is part of a series of videos we're doing for Heritage Open Days, going behind the scenes, looking at some objects that aren't on display at the D-Day story. Hank Passek, who was a US sailor on the USS Corry, a destroyer, off Utah Beach on D-Day. Winding back a few years before we get to his D-Day story, he was one of three brothers, and in 1919 their parents had emigrated from Poland to the US. So in 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland, Hank and his two brothers felt that they needed to do something, and they joined the US Armed Forces, two in the Navy, one in the Army. Not because at that point the US was in the war, which it wasn't yet, but I suppose because they wanted to be in a position to be able to do something if the US did enter the Second World War against Nazi Germany. So that was how Hank came to be in the US Navy. And on D-Day, his ship, the USS Corry, was firing its guns against the German coastal defences. So these were big German guns along the coast, designed to and placed there to fight off, to try and sink Allied ships if they made a landing in the area. After an exchange of fire at about 6:33, so round about the time the first American soldiers started landing on Utah Beach, Hank Passek's ship, the Corry, was hit by enemy shells and possibly also struck a mine, it's not entirely clear, and sank fairly quickly. And of the crew of 250, 22 of them were killed and 33 of them were left badly wounded. Hank was one of the lucky ones who wasn't wounded. He survived okay. But one thing it makes me think of is that I think quite often when we're telling the story D-Day, we tend to leave Utah Beach to the end and sort of say what the casualties were much lower, which is true. But there were casualties there, and clearly if you ask Hank Passek and his comrades what their experience of D-Day was like, they wouldn't in any way have said it was easy. We've also got several documents here relating to his wartime service. So his role was as a water tender first class, and so there's some kind of technical and training documents relating to his work. Do visit the ddaystory.com if you want to find out more about visiting our museum or about the events that we run.